Right, it's true. He doesn't really need an introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. It's former Peterborough United defender Gabriel Zakuani, aka The Wall. In fact, to be fair, what I should have done was not have you in view and would have just had the backing. And that would have been a great bit of banter.
Not wrong, not wrong.
Too late now, too late now. So, Gabs, I want to talk to you about your time at Posh. Obviously, you had some great years at the club, came back on loan as well. Let's start right from the beginning, because you actually joined on loan for a season, as it turned out to be. What can you remember about how that move came about?
All I actually remember with the Posh thing, I was at Fulham. I was training. I think I was training, and they got a call from Darren Ferguson. And at the time, I was a little bit skeptical because I was sort of supposed to go back to Stoke at the time. So I was in the middle of like sort of trying to sort out a move back to Stoke. So I didn't decline it, but I said, and I had a week, an international game the next week. So I said, I'll make up my mind when I get back. So I'll think about it while I was there. But he was so persistent. Darren, he kept calling the club, and literally I had Aaron McLean on my back as well. So I had to block him for a couple of weeks. He was literally calling me every 2 seconds saying, no, you're what we need, and telling me all about the gaffer, the plans for the club. Then I sort of done my research. I looked it up because at the time, the only memory I had of Peterborough was playing in the FA Youth Cup game against Peterborough and getting knocked out with Leyton Orient. So yeah, I didn't have the best memory there because I was heartbroken after that. And then I started communicating with Darren, and I liked what he was saying. I know it's a typical thing everyone says, but he does have this aura of persuasion where he kind of just tells you his plans and you believe him. You believe every word he says. And Aaron was telling me things, and I know Aaron from a long time when I was at Leyton Orient. I knew he wouldn't sort of just set me up to fail, basically. So he was telling me I was sort of what we needed at the time. And then I went on my international break, and by the time I come back, everything was signed. I told even Pulis, said give him an extra week to sort out the deal with Stoke, but I said, no, I'm going here, I'm going to play games and just see how it goes. It was a loan.
Yeah, I guess the advantage was it was a long-term loan and not just a short-term loan, because as you say, if you've been playing games, you don't want to be going from, stop-start again.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I initially signed 6 months with Peterborough. So signed 6 months. It was a view to a permanent anyway. So we sort of just wanted to see how it goes. And if I remember correctly, I think that started not the best at the time. So coming to a new league on a high, but I think there was a few, or there were wins, but there was a lot of goals in the games. It didn't change much when I come anyway, but the excitement, and I think there was a defeat. And yeah, he told me to come in, and I trained, and it was just a different sort of environment that I was used to. Everyone was so close. It was like a family knit club. Everyone knew everyone. I knew everyone within a few weeks. And it just settled in so quickly, and it felt like home straight away. If I'm honest, it was like love at first sight. To be honest, coming to me.
It was weird because obviously you made your debut actually away at Northampton. That was your first game, local derby. Obviously, just come back off international duty. Probably hadn't trained much, I wouldn't think, as well leading up to the game. Was that the ideal sort of thing for a player like you to just be thrown straight into the deep end, go out, do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, I came back, I think I did one training session, if I remember correctly. I remember smashing Mikkel in the session, told to calm down because it was day before a game. So it was just me typically. I think they knew sort of my character straight away. And then, yeah, I got thrown in straight away. And it was basically probably the perfect game to come into because of sort of the rivalry that's with Northampton, and for me to see sort of what Peterborough's about, and the fans, it was packed, and I really enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, you mentioned you smashed Mikkel the day before. Before we go on to actually looking at the games and all that kind of stuff, I put this in inverted commas, no nonsense defender, but we know you've got the ping in your locker. Was it hard in training? Because obviously your natural instinct is to smash everybody because that's your game. Do you have to try and tailor it? How many times did the gaffer say to you, look, just chill, play at 70%?
I mean, yeah, he said it all the time. He said, I used to say in the contact games, well, everything's contact for me, really, to be fair. But I mean, that's why it's hard for me. I try the beginning of the week, I'll go all out, you know. So if I do smash someone accidentally, then there's a bit of time to recover. But on the Friday, if everyone knows me, I'll take it really chilled the day before. And on the Thursdays, I'll probably be a little bit chilled as well. But there's a lot of times I've noticed as well where he would, if for example he was doing a bit of shape like with the team for the game on Saturday, and then there'll be a ball and a channel and a striker chasing and knowing I'm coming, and he would blow the whistle or something like that to just stop it and go through another scenario, because he sort of knows what's coming. And to me, to be fair, like it's like a skill in itself. I always see it like a skill. So there's not a lot of players prepared to do what I do, and you know, and that's probably my strength to the team, to be fair.
Someone said to me when I said I was speaking to you today that ask Gabby if he actually learned how to tackle on concrete. Is that story true?
No, that is true. That is true. That's the story when I signed for Orin. I think I was 13, and that was what he said. He said, "I'm signing you because I've never seen anyone tackle on concrete." We used to train on like a tarmac, but it was basically concrete. I don't even think it was safe when I'm thinking about it, you know. But yeah, I was sliding on there. I've done a few tackles on there, and that's why Martin Lingard already signed me.
Wow. See, that's the nickname, the wall, has come from concrete.
Yeah.
That's all it came out. That season obviously went perfectly in terms of obviously getting promotion. Charlie Lee scoring the winner at Colchester. Speaking to Chaz, and he was sort of, well, he's lived off that moment, I guess, to be fair. So, when I say to people, what do you remember about that game? Everybody seems to say the same thing. Charlie scoring, doing Klinsmann's live on Soccer Saturday. Is that pretty much, because it was 1-0, but there wasn't much else going on in the game from recollection?
No, I remember the game quite. I remember quite a lot of it, to be fair, because
clean sheet, that's why.
Yeah, it was a clean sheet. On the first thing, we couldn't. I knew we couldn't concede that game. You know, we defended so well. I've never seen a replay of it, but I do remember it, and the gaffer was very complimentary of the way that we defended after the game, because it was a perfect defensive performance. Everything was in order. We kept them out. We were so comfortable in that game, and it was just. I was thinking to myself, why didn't we do this all season? we just were gunner all season, and then that game, I thought it was the perfect away performance. And then obviously everything else took place after the game, and you know, waiting to confirm. And it was a surreal moment, and I would put that up. I'd say that's one of my best moments in my career. That I'd say that's very, very close to the top, because it was like I came on loan, I signed, and everything just went perfect. It went the script.
How quickly after that game did you book a booth in Halo?
I think I've done it half time. So everything was done. It was one of them games, because the champagne was on ice, everything, you know, we knew we had an opportunity to seal it. And I think we had a game next week, didn't we? Yeah, I remember. But yeah, we wanted to get it done with. I think we deserved it. And it was just a perfect way to sort of end it. The journey back was epic. The night was epic, and the following weeks were epic as well. So it was the perfect sort of thing to happen. And by then I'd settled in Peterborough, and you know, I was enjoying my life completely. So it was sort of the start of something that I knew would be very special.
Always amusing me when people say you've signed on loan with a view to a permanent. Is there any point during that 6 months where you have to actually do anything? Did you sign the paperwork at the end of the 6 months? Was it already done and just not in a folder?
No, I went back to. I remember going back to Fulham for a few days. I think it was to sort of, because they had to agree a fee, and you know, Barry Fry moved the goalpost here and there. You know, he wanted a bargain, and they sort of were holding out. So, but I knew, like, I told them that I want it done. So there was no problem with that. So it was more they had to sort out their end, and I had to sort out my own personal terms. And Darren, you really pushed for me to get the best sort of deal I can get, to make me as comfortable as possible. He gave me exactly what I wanted, and you know, a place, sorting out my living arrangements and everything, and looking after my children, the schools, and all of that. So he was very instrumental in it.
Everyone talks about personal terms and people have agents. Did you have an agent when you did the deal? I can't remember whether you did it yourself or whether you had.
I don't. Me personally, the only time I've ever used an agent is when I moved to Fulham, because I've never been in that position where it's gone from literally League Two to the Premiership. So that's the only time I've ever used an agent. With other things, I do myself. I think I'll get a good feel for the place and sort it out myself.
You like on Dragon's Den? Are you like, no, I'm out?
Yeah,
I've got 27 clubs, Baz.
No, I mean, with Peterborough, like I say, it just felt right, So we've never fallen out over terms or things like that, really. To be fair, with the only times I've ever had arguments is with Darren in the changing room at half time or after the game, or but it's quickly sorted out. We sort of just, because everyone wants to win, so that's the only thing that I think we could have different views on. But in terms of Peterborough Football Club, no, I will never really cause any problems or disagree with much, because I want to be there myself, So.
Obviously, that next season didn't work out as we wanted it to, because obviously there was loads of change of managers. I mean, I'm interested, as someone who had a little bit of experience, albeit compared to the others, probably not as many as some, but because you had so many managers during that period of time, when I spoke to the players during that time, they all said it was very hard. The team spirit disintegrated a little bit because, different managers bring in different people. How were you trying to not run the dressing room, but how do you keep a dressing room as secure as possible when people are coming in and out every day?
No, I did run the dressing room. So. No, I mean,
you got relegated, Gab, so you didn't do it very well, did
you? No, I mean, it was. It's hard. But with me, I'm one of the people that just get on with it. There's been so many situations, and especially like with myself, it's enjoyment. I come from Congo, like it could be so much worse. Back home. So with that, I don't see it as any pressure or anything to sort of get disgruntled about. You just get on with it, and it's your job at the end of the day, and you've got to perform. And there's people that are working all week, looking forward to the weekend to sort of let some steam off, and they depend on us to perform. So with that, yes, it's hard. On a lot of young players. I remember the team being so young. I was young myself when I arrived, so it was. But I was one of the older, experienced ones at the time still, so it's tough. But I think the experience just stands you in good stead for the future, because it's not usual that a lot of managers come in and out, and the managers are so different as well. It weren't like there was maybe someone similar to Darren that came in and sort of just took it the next sort of step. It was a completely different person, wanted complete different personnel, completely different changing playing styles. So it was tough in that sense, but I think a lot of lads learned from it, and they took what they learned from it, and they took it very well. It was a very young group. And I think the changes were too much, and we sort of saw the gulf. When the first time we went up, we weren't as prepared as probably we should have been. But I wouldn't say we didn't enjoy it. We enjoyed it. We were still a family. We were still training hard. We were giving everything we got. So it's just one of them things.
Did the managers get you as much as Darren did, or were they a little bit not wanting to change you, but were they looking at different things in the game rather than just allowing you to go on and do what you're best at?
I wouldn't say they did, to be fair. I think the only person that's probably, I think Darren asked for a lot with him, and to be fair, I'm probably a lot better than people think. I maybe ask the players. Like, I'm not. Like, I think I overdo it. Like when I defend properly, and I defend. That's my passion. So I think that's why it looks like I'm so no nonsense. But if I got time, I could actually do a little bit, But I think with me, it's more when I was younger. I got caught on the ball maybe a few times, so for me, it's like my job's first to defend, and I'd defend. And if you go back maybe to the era when I was growing up, defending was like that. Serie A was on Channel 4, and that all they did was defend, and let the ball players sort of do it. So I think learning that growing up sort of made me like that, and then obviously football transitioned where defenders are essentially midfielders now.
Yeah. That following season, obviously, when Gary Johnson left, we were conceding a lot of goals, obviously scoring a lot of goals. There was some high moments and some awful lows, like the Charlton game at home. I remember when we got battered 5. Brighton at home when I think he had the blue and white flag day, and we lost 3-0 to them. They bopped us off the park. When Gary left, what were you thinking at the time? Were you thinking, yes, let's get Darren back, or was it a bit of a shock when he did actually walk through the door?
I wouldn't say it was a shock. He sort of gave me the impression that he weren't as in it at that period. There was some things that were going on, as in like when we was losing. Sort of his team talks weren't as, you can kind of, I think as an experienced player, you can kind of see when it's coming to the end, or if it needs something to click, and for me, as soon as he sort of left, I weren't too shocked. And the only answer in my head was Darren. There's no other answer for me. There's no one that knows the club inside out. There's no one with that sort of affinity with the club. And I just felt that he was the right man from the get-go.
Did he say to you at that time, we're going to get back into the Championship now? I truly believe that we're going to get back into the Championship. Or was it a case of, let's see how we go and see if we can build? Or was it, it almost felt like when he came back that it was all going to click back into place quite quickly?
Yeah, Darren's not that kind of person, he'll come in and say, look, we're getting back in the Championship. And that's what it is, It's not, he doesn't do the, we'll see how it goes and then see where we are sort of thing. He's the sort of person that sets his targets high, very high. And you've got to maintain them targets. If you don't maintain them targets, you're out, It's that simple, And I think that's why he kept everyone so consistent, because you'd have players that were consistent every single week, because he does not accept anything less. And I think it was pretty obvious. He's just one of them people, I think, that make it very clear what his objective is, and that he's accepting nothing less. And there's no way he'll keep you in the team if you're not performing. It's as simple as that.
I remember you had an injury in that campaign. I think you did your shoulder, didn't you? And then somehow miraculously made a comeback. Were you? I know it sounds a strange thing to say, but medically speaking, do you look back at that time and think, what on earth was I doing? Or was it just pure adrenaline that you wanted to get out there, that it doesn't really matter about, you're a defender, you're going to get injured, just push yourself through it?
Yeah, you're about the final, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the semi, I thought, when I did it in the semi, I thought, it looks like a bad one. And then when I saw the club doctor, he said, nah, it's not right. And he didn't want to, I had to actually sign a piece of paper to say, I'm doing it off my own back, Darren called me that night as well, where we'd lost the first leg, MK Dons. He said, look, I need you for the next game. He told me to just follow Sam Bulldog everywhere. That's what he said. He said, literally, just follow him everywhere and just make sure he doesn't get kicked in the next game. And in my head, I just knew, look, I have to do whatever's right to make it. I was getting treatment. That's all I was doing. I didn't train up to the game, didn't train. And the doctors were fully against it. The physio was having a heart attack on the side. And it was just one of them things. I just thought, no, I'll get through it. I'll have an injection before the game. So I had an injection before the game. I had an injection. I think I had 2 at half time. And yeah, I was fine. I mean, like, I was sat I remember sitting at Old Trafford on the medical bench and literally just getting injections put in, taking tablets and whatever. But I think I had my adrenaline. I knew my family was in the stands, and I just wanted to, to be out there, to be fair.
I suppose you're probably one of the very few people that saw that team sheet when Huddersfield put it in and thought, oh, damn it, Jordan Rhodes isn't playing. Because obviously they put Benik Afobe up front, I think, and probably from a physical point of view, the last thing you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I know a lot of people about Jordan Rhodes and players like that, and obviously he had a great record at the time, as top scorer. But for me, it was more my mindset when I play against players that ain't physical at all, is as long as I see them in the box and I've got contact with them in the box, then they shouldn't cause me any problems, because I'll win everything in the air and I should be able to sort of bully them during the game. So when he wasn't playing and I saw Benik, I saw was it Alan Lee? Was it Lee? Mm-hmm. So I thought, because with him I've had a few tear-ups. So I thought, today I've just got to be on top of him, sort of dominate him, and we'll be fine, because if I remember that game, they did put a lot of balls into the box, but we defended pretty well, because I watched. I think there's a clip on YouTube for 15 minutes
Mm.
of the game, and it was intense. And even when we scored, we kept going. But yeah, it was good to see the team sheet. When I saw it, yeah, for me, I was probably the only player that was thinking, "Oh, I better roll my sleeves up and get out."
And obviously, the game ended brilliantly. The 3 goals, the fantastic celebrations that followed. Were they better than the year before, or was it? I mean, we were up in Manchester for the weekend, pretty much, weren't we? So I'd imagine you don't have much contact up there, do you? You couldn't ring the club to get in there, surely.
Yeah, no, man. It was we had enough of a very good night there. I mean, with in terms of the game, it was kind of a strange game. I mean, like I think we was under a bit of pressure before sort of the last 15 minutes. You know, it was under a bit of pressure. Like I said, they were lumping balls into the box. It was kind of, they changed their style sort of to sort of like confuse us. I don't know what it was, but we dealt with it very well. And we always know that the longer we hold out, the front three will sort of tear them apart, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Before we talk about individual players, obviously that next season went really well for us in terms of consolidating in the league above. How did you find the step up the second time around?
And I think personally, I was a lot more prepared for it, and I sort of took it upon myself to warn the other players as well. Obviously, I had quite a big influence in the change room, and sort of, I think we had a different mentality. You know, before, I think we were just very naive. I think we went there and expecting it to be the same, but I think we had a lot more solid performances. There was a few good away days where you need to grind out them results, and I think it was just that you could see that we'd learned our lesson, and we didn't get to. When I think before, when we was losing games, we was getting too down about losing games. I think we moved on quickly with these ones, and the wins were good. There was a lot of times where we was not far off the top 6 really, where it was probably a win away from 4-4. Was so close, you know. There was a lot of big games, and I think we was just enjoying it a game at a time instead of fearing the worst. Or even when we kind of had little scares about getting dragged back in, we sort of enjoyed it. And I think the manager as well, there's a lot of things that he does, and he takes the pressure off the players. We'd have a lot of team bonding things, and the team spirit just stayed really, really high. And I think that was the difference this time.
I must mention, of course, the year before, the motivational DVD with Adele, one and only. Now, just literally yesterday, I spoke to the gaffer and I asked him to do a Spotify playlist of his favourite 15 songs. I mean, there's some. I mean, I don't think it'd be your type of music. Adele has made it, and when I speak to players like Tom Owen, obviously Boyd, they all remember that song. So, was it the case that the video helped? Was it the case you'd never heard that song before and it just sort of stuck in your mind, or was it just the fact that it got you into the right frame of mind?
No, I think it was a bit of both. You know, I mean, I hadn't heard of the song, so
no way.
No, I wasn't really like into that sort of thing. But I think the video with the song, now when I hear the song, or anytime I've heard a song since, that comes straight in my head. You know, and it's just, I think it was the right thing to do at the right time. You know, and we needed that, and that was probably, it was I wouldn't say it was the reason, but it was an extra push. You know, to sort of a little bit more motivation and to sort of see how far we've come as a group and where we need to go. And I think it clicked with a lot of players. Everyone was very emotional with it, and we took that within us. And I think it just gave us that extra percent to go an extra mile.
Obviously stayed up that season in the Championship quite comfortably in the end. The following season, again, you know, it got off to a very slow start, but we looked in a position whereby we were going to stay. I remember beating Sheffield Wednesday. I think Mikkel scored the free kick. And there were so many permutations that would to go against us. But I guess as we look back, that's football in its cruelest possible form, isn't it?
It's lovely. I think that's probably the unluckiest thing I've ever been involved in, ever. You know, and it's still hard to sort of speak about it today. You know, you look back and you just think, what if this happened? What if? And it's just, I guess it's just how it goes. You know, you learn from it, I guess. And for me, I think maybe, I don't know. I think if we'd stayed up that year, I think we could have kicked on again. You know, but it's just been it was one of them things you can't explain. It was it happened, and obviously the controversy in the other games that that were going on at the same time as well. So like today, I still find the words so hard to explain the disappointment of that day, and just how hard it's been to talk about it or to go through that feeling again, because I just think we deserved to stay up because of our run. I think up to from the New Year or Christmas to the end, I think was unbelievable. So we given ourselves a great chance. The points tally was enough, really, to stay up really in any other season, and it was a cool thing. It was like it was just meant to happen.
Was it hard to get over? I know it was hard for employees and fans, and obviously the gaffer as well. Did you feel that summer was a long summer?
Yeah, it was a long summer, but I think the gaffer did well in trying to lift the spirit straight away. He knew his objective. He sort of told us to get over it, and we'll bounce back really. So I think he did his best, even though it was probably very hard on him as well. So he tried to sort of lead us to believe that we come back and we fight for our places again and we can kick on again. But I think it was a blow to a lot of people, and it sort of took the wind out of our system a little bit. It was, again, the team was still young, and to get over something like that was difficult.
Yeah, and I guess people were always going to leave when you come down from the Championship. You obviously took around a little longer after that. Did you have the opportunity to move? Was there, talk about moving?
Yeah, I mean, I was at a contract situation. Obviously, we've been in the Championship, and I sort of had to. I was offered a longer contract, but obviously because we moved down the league, it would have to be on less. So that was sort of a little, not dispute, but just had to analyse a couple of things. I was in the last year of my contract, so I sort of held out with that to sort of see what was going to happen. And obviously the rules at the club were, if you're on your last year contract, you've got on the transfer list, and that was all right with me. I know if I'm given the opportunity, I'll play the games, and I'll earn a new contract if needed.
I always find it interesting with players that playing international football as well. Obviously, in the Championship, you obviously get those international breaks. In League One, was it actually hard? I mean, people from the outside look and think, Gabs is obviously going to go off to wherever he's going to go off and play football, and that'll be it. You were someone that actually cared quite a lot about the club football, so much so that you obviously ended up quitting international football. Was that hard to sort of juggle a little bit?
It was very difficult. It's tough as well because like I care so much about the club, Peterborough. Like I know people sometimes think it's a cliche, but Peterborough, like, I genuinely cared for the club. It was like home, So I've always felt like that. And going away and then knowing we've got a game at the weekend, then I wouldn't be there, because usually I'd think, look, this is my team, and you're coming to my turf, and we're going to make it hard for you. And that's sort of my mentality throughout my time there. So it was hard leaving, going and play international football, but it was just, that's my country at the same time. So it's like going to war for your country, at the same time. So it's like two things on the same level, and I had to make both sides happy, really. So it was tough. And the problem was sometimes when I went there and I came back, because as you're traveling, I'd get injured or, so I know how frustrating it must be for the gaffer back at Peterborough. And then I know as well how frustrating it is for the gaffer for Congo when I'm declared injured by Peterborough. So it's like I just had to try and juggle it and keep both sides happy.
Were injuries always going to happen the way you play?
No, well, to be fair, I've had everything at Peterborough. I think I've had the broken toe season, where I didn't train all season. I think I count on one hand. I think it was 5 times I had full training sessions, and the rest it was just managing my fitness and in the gym the whole time. So that was pretty painful, because I don't know if anyone knows, but I'm size 10 feet, but on my left foot I had to wear size 12 just for my and Darren personally was going to get me the boots, so to wear on my left side where I broke my toe. So that was painful, because I was told not to play, I was supposed to have an operation which was supposed to not allow my big toe to bend. So I declined that and just played through the pain the whole season. And that was the dislocated shoulder, I'd say that because there was a point where it kept popping out, but I'd pop it back in for the next game. And obviously the doctors actually were testing my head as well to say that you actually all right, you know, because of the injuries, the sort of injuries that I sort of played with. I usually came back really quickly from injuries that I should never come back for. But I think that was just more the love for the club, because believe it or not, for any other club, I've not done the crazy stuff I've done for Peterborough.
It's weird because some people can form relationship with supporters quite quickly and quite easily. You seem to do that very easily, not just with your performances, also engaging on social media and all that kind of stuff. Now, there's been people since that have done that, and people look back on that time and haven't had that same connection. What makes you different, do you think? Why is there such a relationship between the two yourself and the supporters?
You know, I think because I try and portray myself very normal. You know, there's a lot of like when I look back at myself, like my favorite player was Patrick Vieira. That was my hero when I was growing up. And if he was reaching out to me on social media and giving me advice or talking to me or just getting me through the day, that would give me probably the extra boost that I need to do what I want. So for me, it's more when I'm in town. When I was in town at Peterborough, when I was in a coffee shop, I remember sitting, going out for a meal with my missus, and there was people on the other table, and they were secretly sort of taking pictures. I asked them to join me, you know. So it's things like that. Like, I think just normality. When you see me, like, I try and be as genuine as possible and as normal as possible, you know, not thinking I'm better than anyone and just engaging that way. And I think that's what makes people just have more of a connection to me. And I think in the sense that I literally would have a drink with anyone and would talk to anyone, you know. And I think at the sort of more level I've got, like the sort of more exposure I've got, I obviously have to watch sort of who I let into my sort of life. But I think on a general, if you meet me down the road, I'll have a conversation with you like I've known you for 10 years. It's not no different.
In terms of your departure, obviously I think, I can't remember what season it was you left, but you left and then came back on loan. Talking about your departure, was that just the end of the road? Was it like the relationship had kind of run its course? There was no real massive breakup. You didn't cheat on anybody, but you just got to the end of time.
No, I was in the last year of my contract and I hadn't agreed the extension. And I had a brilliant offer from Greece, you know, to go to Greece. And for me, it was just like, you know when it gets stale a little bit. I was playing the same, but it was just not like before. I felt like I needed a change of scenery. And I think there was no massive conversation. Club inquired to Barry Fry, I think it was, and the deal got done quite quickly, you know, because I think Barry knew I wouldn't sign at the end of the season. And it was just, I think it was best to sort of do what's best for me and do what's best for the club. They can cope without me. At that time, I didn't feel that I was anyone, to be fair. At the time, it was quite a stale period, if I remember correctly. The club weren't doing great. I don't think I was performing to the best of my ability as well. And I think that it was the right time to sort of to part ways in that time. Yeah.
You came back like a boomerang. I mean, most of the people that have had success, Mikkel Smith, McLean, obviously Boydie now, Tomo, have come back. Is that purely because you love the environment? It was an opportunity that you felt that you couldn't turn down?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Greece for 6 months. Did very well. Like I was. The only thing is the football in Greece was great. I mean, just the outside. It was the outside of the environment. And I remember that when I was there, they offered me a 2-year contract within 4 games, I think it was. So I had a 4-year contract on the table. No, 2-year contract, sorry, on the table with 4 games. And I was probably going to sign it. But my son had an accident while I was out there. And then I saw the hospital facilities and just how it all worked, and I just thought I can't really commit to living like this, you know. All of that, them kind of things sort of played into mind. And then I remember following Posh. They had that was the playoff year with Leighton Orient. So I came back the season ended early in Greece. I came back. I watched both games. I remember watching the game actually. I was in a caravan park. I don't know what I was doing in All Hallows. I think it was I was actually, that was the first leg. I remember Brit scoring. That's why I remember celebrating that. And then I went to the game at Orient. They got me like a section, like a box in that game. So I watched that game, and I was heartbroken in that game. You know, I could, like, it was. I remember Jack Baldwin. That's the first time I'd ever seen Jack Baldwin, and I thought he was outstanding in that game. That's all I remember. I thought he played really, really well in that game. But yeah, I was heartbroken that time, and I just left my club in Greece, and they expected me to come back after the summer, but I hadn't signed anything. So I was sort of weighing up my options. I had options to go to Scotland, to go to France, and then Barry. I was having a conversation with Barry. I don't even know what it was about. He called me randomly, and we had a conversation, but not about coming back. He was just checking up on me. And then a few days later, he called me again. He said he's had a discussion with the chairman, Darren, and Darren would want me back in a heartbeat. So then I spoke to Darren, and he mentioned that game as well. He said he felt that if I was in that game, it was missing sort of that leadership in that game. And I think that sort of touched me, and I've just felt like, I'll make my decision. I think I want to come back. And then over the next few days, it got sorted out really quickly. So.
And then obviously, again, it was almost like the championship again. Managers sort of came and went. I remember you played a starring role in a panto that was done behind closed doors, and it was just quite a surreal time, I guess. And I suppose again, when it came to a natural course, you were probably thinking, well, you know, there are other opportunities out there. Football's a short career. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the second time quite a lot as well. You know, I mean, it was sort of back home. I felt I was back home and back to my normal life. You know, I'd only been away for a few months, so it was just like I've been on a long holiday and come back for the next couple of years. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, some things that went on. I mean, it was different. But again, I think at this moment, because I was getting older as well, it weren't everything about the football. You know, it was about things I was in the community, things about giving back, and it was more that kind of thing. And then on the Saturday, obviously, make sure I perform. But I think I was focused on other things as well around the club, not just about playing.
Yeah, community was very important to you, actually. I think they didn't probably do awards back then in terms of playing in the community, but you probably won it pretty much every year that you were with the football club. It was sometimes people think that we force players to do stuff, and we say this, that, and the other. And yes, there might have been the odd occasion where you text me back and go, "Oh, Fleece, come on, get someone else to do it." That, if I'm being brutally honest, that was very, very minor. You genuinely wanted to get involved. Was that something that I suppose from the background that you've had, you just wanted to do that and give back a little bit?
Yeah, I mean with community things, I think I like to give back anyway, you know, because I feel that it's important. I think we've got a role where we're role models to people. People look up to us, and I've earned probably more than a lot of people, you know. So for me, it's about giving back and giving people the opportunity to sort of have a better life. And if you can do that, and it don't take much for me to make someone's life a bit better. I think it's a no-brainer for me. And the background I've had as well, I know there's a lot of people in need. So for me to do, you know, a few minutes here and there, giving back or putting competitions on my Twitter, or giving things away, or creating a little gathering for kids or things like that. It's not a lot for me to do, and it's something that I'll continue to do, and I take very passionately.
Now, Ryan Bennett says he owes his career to you. What do you say to that?
I think he's right. Ryan, it was a good time playing with Benno, because we complement each other so well that I don't think I've ever had a partner where I just think we just clicked instantly. I knew what he was good at, So I let him get on with that, and he knew what I was good at. So the only times it was, I think we had one little where I think my teeth go to his head at Sunderland, I think, where there was a ball, I think, down the middle in between us. And the thing is, I always tell Ryan, if the ball's in my area, don't come anywhere near it. Just go behind me. So that's just in case. And then I say, if it's sort of halfway between us, let me come through it. And if it's clearly on your side, yeah, you go win it. But I think that day it sort of came in between us, and I always know that that's my sort of region to get, and he was in the way, so I took him out as well. But that's the only time I think we've had miscommunication. But in terms of everything else, I always knew where he was. He knew where I was, and that was it. We knew our roles, and I think that just worked wonders. And I think he's like, communication wise and just knowing, telepathic. It was literally like we knew where, literally we worked like we was on a string.
Last couple of questions. This is like the real yin and yang here in terms of, you know, you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Boyd or Tomlin?
What? Just pick straight or explain the reason?
Yeah,
I think
you're picking a team. Who's in the team? Pick Boyd or Tomo?
I'd always technically, if that's my kind of style, Tomlin. But if I was a gaffer, I'd pick Boyd because his work rate is unreal. He's got all the ability in the world, but he doesn't forget. He's a grafter. He still grafts, and he's unbelievable at that. So I'll pick him just on the fitness side. He's one of the fittest players I've ever seen.
Gale, McLean or Mikkel Smith?
That's impossible to pick because in their prime, McLean was devastating, and Mikkel just don't stop. Gale's clinical. I'd go for McLean, I think.
Sticking loyal to your friends. I mean, how pleased are you to see Mendes Lang doing his stuff now? Because we always had conversations, and there was always conversation in the dressing room that, so if the penny drops here, this player can be anything he wants to be, and he sort of got to the level, the sort of slow way, sort of a tortoise style, but he's shown what he can really do now. Yeah,
I'm just really pleased for him. You know, when I see it, I just think, yes, we knew you had it in you. You know, and finally, it seems like you're taking everything seriously to where it should be. And then you see his Instagram posts. He's in the gym. He's working hard. He looks great. He's in shape. So I think for me, it's nice to see. You're kind of looking, like, for me, I look at it like it's my son, you know, and I've you know, he's finally made it, you know. And even when I played against him, was it last season in FA Cup? He was at Cardiff. Yeah, he was unbelievable in that game. And we had a good conversation. We swapped shirts, and it was just like, I'm so happy for you, you know.
Who's the toughest opponent you ever faced in a posh shirt? Is there anyone that you remember thinking, oh God, not him? Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind?
I don't know if anyone remembers it. We used to play Leicester quite a lot. We had a little rivalry with them. It was Howard. Do you remember?
Yeah, Steve Howard. Yeah.
I remember him out before a game, and we sort of lined up against each other. And it was like, oh, not you again, because literally every time we played each other, someone's bleeding. It was ridiculous. So I think not in the sense of technical or anything like that, but for a battle, yeah, I think he was sort of my biggest nemesis. I think he was tough. In the championship, we played Andy Carroll. Is tough as well. I'd say them two. Yeah.
And just finally, obviously, looking back on your posh career, you must look back with a lot of pride and a lot of satisfaction that, you know, it's, as you say, it's a club that you hold dear to your heart. And often when people make loan moves, they go back and potentially never remember them. But you will always remember Peterborough for so many reasons. Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to explain, you know. It's an affinity that is never gone away, you know. Since I was at Posh, I've moved on to different clubs. But it's always the first result I look for. Posh, I still be in contact. I still talk to the chairman to this day. So it's just, I can't explain it, but I don't think that's the end of the road for me and Posh. Like, you know, I think it's.
You're gonna be manager in the future, Gabs, yeah?
No, I don't think I'll do it. That's the thing. I don't think I'd actually want to be a manager. I'd like to give back. to the community around Peterborough, and just to the fans that still contact me every day. Like my inbox is full every single day. You know, I get contacted constantly. I mean, I haven't really been on social media lately too much because I've got so many projects to work on and I want to stay concentrated on it. But every time I check sort of my social media, it's always Posh fans. Even when I've been at different clubs, I get more from Posh to this day than the clubs I'm at. And at the clubs I'm at the time when I was in Swindon, I was getting so many messages from Swindon fans because I built something quickly with Swindon. But with Posh, it's still home, and that's where the heart is still.